Okay, welcome to another tutorial by Code by the Grace. This is part 3 of our state management in Jetpack Compose Android Studio Kotlin tutorials. In the previous video, we looked at Remember Savable. Now we're going to try and do state hosting. The idea of state hosting is to have a global kind of variable or global state where we can pass that state from parent to child, and the child can modify it, and then it can affect the other children, whatever state they currently have. So I'm gonna use the same. So already we have a click tracker. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to create new functions just to show you an example of what I'm talking about. So I'm going to create a variable, well, a function. First of all, I'm going to create a function, and I'm going to show you why we need to use this. So I'm going to create a function called incrementer. Now, forget about this click tracker that we have here. We're not going to need it now. Maybe I'm going to delete it just so that it doesn't confuse anyone. So we have a incrementer here. Okay, I'm going to create an incrementer, and then I'm going to make it a composable. Okay, now in our incrementer, similar to what we had before, we're going to have a variable of total clicks by remember, and then we're going to have a mutable state of, and we're going to pass in 0. Okay, and then I'm going to have a column again. Probably should have kept the previous code actually. Would have just modified it, but it's okay. I can do the same thing again. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to pass in my code that I've been using, which is here. I'll write it again. Modifier equals modifier dot fill max size, and then horizontal alignment, and then alignment dot, and then we have vertical arrangement, and then we can have alignment, well, work with whatever we can work in the code. Now, it is quite important to remember that when we are dealing with the kind of work that we're dealing with, sometimes it can appear as if it's a bit difficult to work with, but you should be fine. All I'm doing here, in case you just stumbled across this video and you're wondering, I have no idea what is currently happening. All I'm basically doing is I'm just trying to make my application, well, central, so that we'll be able to see everything. So we got our arrangement.center, and then in my column, what I'm going to do right now here is that I'm going to try, okay, I'm going to have a button in here, and I'm going to have a text as well. So text, and then we're going to say text equals total clicks, and then we have total clicks. Great. And then we're going to have a button, and that button is going to have an on click, so that when we click on it, it's going to increase our total clicks. Okay, plus plus, and then our button is going to have a text on it that's going to say increase clicks. Okay, that is what we currently have right now. Okay, and then I'm going to call incrementer here. Now I'm going to create another function, and this function is going to be called show clicks. We're going to use show clicks to test to see whether our project works. So we have at comp composable. Okay, great. And then again, that is also going to have a total clicks in there. And then we're going to have a text in there. We don't really necessarily have to have a text. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have a print line here so that we'll be able to see and test it properly. So print line, and I'm going to pass in total clicks in there. Total clicks. Okay, great. Okay, so what we have here is we have an incrementer, and then we also have a show clicks. Okay, now what we've done here is that we are expecting that, oh, once I click on this button, total clicks will update. I think I've spelled it wrong. Sorry about that. Total clicks. Then we're also going to have total clicks here, and then total clicks here as well. I guess I need to change here as well. Great. Now, when I run my application, right, what I should see on my screen is, of course, total clicks. Now, as I click here, you can see that our total clicks is incrementing, which is similar to our click tracker. Now, I'm going to open my logcat so that I'll be able to see whether the state is changing in show clicks. Okay, so let's increment it. Okay, you can see that nothing is happening inside show clicks, because even though we have a state called total clicks in incrementer, we also have a state in show clicks. However, these two are local to their function that they are in. So this total clicks is completely independent from this total clicks. But what we want to do is we want both of them to have the same total clicks. So in order to do that, we have to have a global total click state and then pass in that total clicks in between those two functions in order for them to be able to have the same state. So to do that, what I'm going to do is, my next step is before I go, I just want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying. In incrementer, we have a variable called total clicks. In show clicks, we have a variable called total clicks. However, because these two are two different composables and they are local to each other, this total clicks and this total clicks are completely different from each other. They have no relationship. They are not cousins. They are not brothers. They are not sisters. They are nothing. They are completely independent of each other. But what we want is we want them to be the same. So the next step of what I'm going to do is I am going to create a main screen. Okay, this is how I'm structuring the code so that it's easier for you to understand. So I'm going to create fun main screen, right? And I'm going to make this into a composable. Okay, into a composable function. And then what I'm going to do is, instead of each incrementer and show clicks having total clicks, we are going to change how it's going to work. So the first thing we're going to do is I want us to make a copy of this total clicks, and then we're going to put that in here. Okay, so now we have three different functions that have total clicks, which are totally independent of each other. They have no relationship with each other, but we want to have a relationship with each other. So what's going to happen is we've got our total clicks, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a column so that my code is, and I'm going to use just for consistency, just have the same thing here in my column, same code in my column. Okay, okay, good. What we're going to do there now is that instead of having three independent total clicks, we're only going to have one, and our main screen is going to have the global total clicks, and then we're going to pass in that total clicks in between incrementer, inside incrementer, and also show clicks. Okay, so what we'll end up having to do is we're going to have to change incrementer, because incrementer is actually the function that has the button inside. So we're going to have to start working from there. So in my incrementer, I am going to create a variable. So incrementer now stops being a function without a parameter to a function with a parameter. So we have total clicks, which is going to be a type of int. Okay, and then we are going to pass in an on-click increase, which when we click on it is going to do something. Okay, so we're going to have this here. Okay, now I need to pass in the unit. Great. Now we have total clicks being passed in, which means that we don't need to have this anymore, because the total clicks that incrementer is going to have is now going to be coming from main screen, which is that you're just a parent passing in something to their child. You're kind of inheriting it, kind of taking it. So we have total clicks, we're going to pass it in there. And then we are going to use the same total clicks that we're passing in here. I think because the spelling is different, that's why it's looking like that. But I'm going to pass in the total clicks that we're passing through. And now total clicks is going to have that. Okay. And then for our total clicks plus plus, because we're passing in an on click increase, which is going to be a kind of like a function per se, we're going to pass in an on click increase. It's like a property that we're passing in there. Okay. So incrementer now inherit, or I wouldn't say inherit, but kind of gets, I mean, it's a parent and child relationship. So total clicks sort of get total clicks from the main screen. Then what we're going to do next is we want to do the same thing for show clicks, because we want show clicks to have the same total clicks coming from the main screen. So again, we are going to pass in similar total clicks into show clicks, and then we're going to pass in total clicks here. But remember that show clicks didn't have any button there, so we don't actually have to pass in the on click increase because there was no button in here in the first place. Okay, I hope it makes sense. All we've done is we've turned our incrementer function and our show clicks function into functions with parameters, which means that we can pass things through. Now in our main screen, what we're going to do now is I'm going to call incrementer, and then I'm going to pass in, when I call incrementer, I'm going to pass in total clicks equals total clicks. I mean, you can just pass in total clicks just like that, but I'm just going to pass it this way so that at least you know that I'm setting it this way. We can also directly just do total clicks, because ideally we can just pass it in just like that, but I'm just going to pass in total clicks. Let me just make the variables the same so that I don't confuse anyone, because I think I spelled it wrong at the start. So we have total clicks, and then I have a comma, and then I'm going to pass in, we're going to say on click increase, right? And then we're going to say equals total clicks plus plus. Okay, so now what happens is total incrementer is now going to get total clicks, and then it's also going to pass in total clicks plus plus inside this on click increase here. And then when the user clicks on it, it updates total clicks and increments it by 1. And we want to do the same thing for show clicks. So we have show clicks, and then pass in total clicks. And we can test it now and see if it works. So let me just run it again. Let me make this quite small. Okay, no values passed in. So, okay, that's true. So in set content, we're just gonna call main screen, because main screen now have everything inside of it. So let's run it, and then let's see how this works. So when we run the application, what you should see is, let's look at our logcat, right? So if we make changes to it, we should be able to see it also update. So if we click on it, can you see that we've increased it? It's been increased. You can see here total clicks. Okay, you can see total clicks has been increased. And then if we look down here, you can see that show clicks is also have the same total clicks in there. Okay, if you keep scrolling down, you see 5, 6, 7, and that's the same number that you see on the screen. So in this case, this is what we can refer to as state hoisting. Okay, I hope this tutorial helps you to understand a bit more about states. We have other things like side effects, launch effects. Those are other functions that can be used alongside of it. But we'll cover that in the next tutorial when we go further into Android development programming with Jetpack Compose. Hope you liked the video. Please like, share, comment, and thank you. God bless.